Hello, we are in my living room again, as most of these are shot. All these videos we're putting on YouTube lately. I'm with Adam. Adam is a certified WDI inspector, and we're going to talk today about what he does when you guys order a termite inspection, which is a WDI inspection. So when you guys call and you say I need termite inspection, it's actually WDI.
Yes.
So you are licensed you are licensed by TREC for your home inspections, but TREC, Texas Real Estate Commission, does not control the termite license.
No,
somebody else does.
No, yeah, Texas Department of Agriculture regulates all the certified applicator licenses in the state of Texas, and so basically it's a separate thing. A home inspector can call out possible, termite infestation, but they can't do a WDI report, which is required sometimes.
Yes, so VA loans, they can be required. Good. All right, so we're going to walk through the whole house. I'm going to follow Adam on his normal procedure, how he would do a standard termite inspection. This house has already been treated, so we're going to show you how he knows that, and follow along with us.
The fireplace and mantle, just like we would any of the windows or walls.
Because again, this is where you're focusing a lot on areas that they can get in. So the penetrations in the house, in the walls, what the heck you're doing. And you got your thermal camera. What would you need a thermal camera for?
Well, sometimes if you have good temperature differentials.
Which means it could be 100 degrees outside, 70 degrees inside. That's a 30-degree split.
Yeah, and certain times of the year it's a little bit better than others. If the ambient temperature inside and outside is about the same and you look through this, it's almost going to be one color.
Today's not a great, it's 80 degrees outside, 75 inside. We're not going to see a huge amount.
But if we do have good temperature differentials, which we at Element for home inspections, we use this infrared for finding leaks and plumbing.
You can see the window. That always blows my mind. So you can see the window on here clear as day. I'm losing so much energy.
But yeah, we use these for our home inspections to find roof leaks, plumbing leaks.
Got a bug in my house.
A little mayfly right there. Yeah. Not a wood destroyer.
No.
So this can come in handy, and if you do have good temperature differentials, and say we did have shelter tubes in this wall, they are going to be a different temperature than the wall, and we'll actually show up on that. And if we'll
capture that because it's live.
Yeah, it's live, and they have to maintain that certain temperature and moisture inside those tubes.
Interesting.
So yeah, and if you look online, look it up, and I think you'll probably find some pictures on there of that. But yeah, we just continue around the home, side lighting all the walls. If we see an area that looks suspect, we'll investigate. Of course, I would probably test with my fingers. I wouldn't stick the prod in there.
Wouldn't that be great if you find
termites
at my house?
Something dropped.
Presumably there's none here because this house has been treated before, and we're doing this as an example, obviously, as to how we would do it. We use my house so that we're not putting anyone else's house on camera unless they give us explicit permission. But I think that'd be kind of humorous. If
Here's another. This is the first cobweb I've seen. Your house is immaculate.
Okay.
But sometimes with spider webs and cobwebs, if you see little bugs caught in there, sometimes they'll catch the swarmers. So they'll catch these little bugs. So you got to go in there and kind of identify.
Pull one out and see what it is.
Yeah, identify what's in there.
That's clever. I never even thought of that.
So it's just good. And sometimes when you're in old houses, you'll have a lot to look at. a lot of bugs to look at.
Looking down at the ground, Murphy. And what are we looking at?
Right here, we're looking at drill holes. Before there has been a treatment here, what they did, they came in and put a perimeter of pesticide around the building to make a barrier. And what they have to do when you come upon a slab in a porch or a driveway is they have to get their hammer drill out, and with a 1/2-inch bit about 18 inches long, they'll drill down about every 12 inches. And that way they can get their rod down there and under pressure saturate the soil with the pesticide. That way, if any termites are coming in here, they're going to get the pesticide on them share it with the colony, and hopefully eradicate them.
So
in the end.
you know, because of all these dots, that someone has been here,
Yes.
and they go all the way around the perimeter of this house, and they're on my driveway. They go all the way around, right?
Mm-hmm. Occasionally, if the treatment calls for it, you'll see holes in the mortar where they drilled in just to put it between. So this is a brick veneer, and you have the wall sheathing behind it.
Right.
So they're trying to get the pesticide in there in that gap.
Okay.
So occasionally you will see the holes drilled here, through the mortar, just so they could act.
Now we're in the bathroom, and you want to, again, wet area.
It's wet area. Yeah.
Also penetrations. So there are penetrations through the concrete itself in order to get the plumbing in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very rare that you have a perfectly sealed point there. So you have a penetration straight through the slab and a lot of moisture. So is that an invitation?
It sure is. And not so much when when you have these custom pans put in, because there's a.
So this when he says that, this is a solid concrete shower pan with a vinyl pan under it, and then tile sitting on top.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good seal.
Yeah.
But the fiberglass ones.
Yes, those manufactured ones. A lot of times, builders will leave a big gap around the drainage
For fitment, so that the pan can move
mm-hmm.
front and back about an inch, so they make sure that they can fit it in there nicely.
The problem with that is you can't see under that pan, and it's kind of hollowed out under there, so they'll work their way up and make it to the seal plate there on the wall and just start eating inside. And a lot of times with showers, unless they swarm, you're not going to know they're there until you rip it out to replace the shower.
Yeah, okay. What can a homeowner look for, not having your education and skill set? What can they look for as signs of it?
Swarmers, the bugs flying through your house. That's, dirt, mud in places that there is not supposed to be dirt or mud.
I had a house when we were a kid. We were roughhousing, and we ran into the kitchen island, and it was sheetrock with trim on the bottom. And when we hit it, all huge thing of dirt came underneath the trim on the bottom, and there was all this shavings of wood.
Fraz, yeah.
And the mud came down too. And of course, we're going, what the heck is that? And we'll talk about it later, how they get into a house, but the kitchen island, those holes in the ground for the water to come up, and that's how they came up. So my sister and I found...
Discovered,
yes,
hey. I took you for ice cream after that.
Not quite.
Oh, God.
But that is, if you see that underneath trim boards, if you see the little shavings, you shouldn't have shavings of wood in your house. That's not normal home activity. So in the reports that you get, quite often you'll see conducive.
Yes, conducive conditions.
And very often we talk about brush touching the house itself, trees touching the house. Why would that be bad? When can you say conducive?
Well, a lot of time there's a few things like wood touching ground. If you have wood, firewood sitting near the house.
You're inviting them.
Yeah, you're inviting them. Basically, bushes up against the house, too close.
Yeah.
It can block your view of any shelter tubes that you might find, and it can also trap moisture up against the house. So it's good to see here. We got some good clearance.
So we want clearance.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they get overgrown, and you can see I've tried to maintain mine and keep it away from the house here. And we want this gap here. And when they touch, we're inviting them in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, we want another conducive condition we see a lot is the grading or the ground being too high up on the foundation.
Okay.
This has good grading, but sometimes we'll see the grading up here near these weep holes. And these weep holes, this has a little bit of a deterrent for pests, but this is a access point for them a lot of times, especially if the grading gets above that weep hole. They'll have easy access inside the wall without anybody knowing.
So this is a weep hole, and the weep hole, it's supposed to be here. A lot of people ask, why the heck is there a hole in the side of the house? There's a vapor barrier behind this, and this is a porous material. A brick, if I spray it with a hose, water's going to go right through it. You don't think it, but It doesn't go shooting through, but it'll go through and it'll start draining down. It'll hit that vapor barrier and it'll drain down, and we want it to leave the house. And so there are openings and the water can weep out. But because it's a hole in the house, it is an invitation. So if the soil here is too high, what he's saying, and it's kind of right here, then you're giving them a nice runway to go right in. So we want this gap here so that they don't go crawling up and get into it. Is that theoretical? That's it?
And some people you see don't know that, and they will cover up those weep holes, which is not good either. Even a bit like we were talking about the 1/32 of an inch, even if there's some sort of gap on the brick ledge here and not necessarily a weep hole, they can still make it.
Right.
So looking for these tiny lines, look like dirt, the shelter tubes going up is something that we're looking for along the bottom of the foundation. But we're also looking up top here under the soffit and fascia, because like I said, you got to look up, because sometimes they'll go undetected and they'll leave some signs back in a corner up high. So it's definitely not just on the ground that you have to look.
Now some of my crepe myrtles are touching the roof. Is that going to be conducive?
Yeah, we would probably call that out to cut that away.
Okay. And that's just a nice runway for them to go from the ground up and over to the roof, right?
Yes, they can. And you know, fences touching the house too are something that we would call out as well.
Okay.
It looks like you have a good, you can see a lot of your foundation. You have pretty good grading here too. So we're just going to make
sure. I do
sure.
own an inspection company.
Yeah,
I should have a pretty good house, right?
I would expect it to be like this, but yeah, those are some of the conducive conditions that we will write on there and recommend correcting.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I know these videos can get a bit lengthy. There's a lot of content. We actually filmed an hour and 20 minutes worth of content, and I've been editing it here. I've shrunk it down to a little over 11 minutes. I think with this little bit, me talking to you, it'll be about 12 minutes. I'm going to post another video that's 8 or 10 minutes long about Adam talking about his license, how the Texas Agriculture Commission comes directly to his house. Texas Ag will come to your house and audit you, and it's a much more complicated license than a home inspector, and it's interesting, but again, long. I know some of this content is not the most exciting, but it is valuable, and if you have any interest in how termites are found, then check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Peruse the channel, and then if you guys have any requests for specific videos that you want covered on home inspections, put it in the comments, and I'll be sure to make a video. Thanks, guys.